I feel like only in America can you need medical assistance that you can't afford to get. And in order to get government help, you have to make under a certain amount. So if you're someone who's like makes $60,000 a year, you don't qualify for any fucking help, but you can't actually afford to get your child the services that they need. But if I quit my job and I go work for McDonald's, I can live off the government and then she can have the help that she needs. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
I've seen so many situations where you just ask yourself, I'm out here struggling, I'm out here working, but the guy over there on the other side that's doing absolutely nothing gets all the benefits. Have you encountered anything like this? And how frustrating is it actually to you? Is it the same to you as it is to me?
Let's have a conversation. Can we talk about how expensive life is right now? We were like, hey, let's do a cheap and easy dinner tonight. So we were going to get Little Caesars. We got a pizza, a thing of crazy bread, and a 2-liter of pop, and it was almost $17. That is crazy. I remember when Little Caesars was literally like $5 flat for the pizza. We stopped at the store on the way to get the pizza. I got a gallon of chocolate milk and it was $7. And then I was like, ooh, I want like something sweet after my pizza. I got a Hershey's bar. $2.68.
Real story, I paid $5 for a cabbage the other day. That is absolutely nuts. I mean, if you go out and by the time you factor in tip, which now it's like customary 20 to 30%, and it just says, you know what, I don't want to spend $200 to go out to eat or $100 to go out to eat with me, my wife, with little Jack. You know, we're looking at $75 to $100 after tip. And I've just gotten to where I just eat at home on everything.
Almost $3 for a candy bar. We went to McDonald's last night and it was $20 for 2 people with coupons. And we didn't go crazy. We each got 2 sandwiches, a fry, and a pop, and it was over $20. Both of the kids need diapers and it's gonna be $100. Like they both get regular and nighttime diapers. So it's gonna be $100 just for diapers. But I guess really what I wanna know is how are you guys living right now? How is everyone affording life? Because this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Our daughter goes through a can of $22 formula every other day. Yet we're supposed to be young and thriving and having the time of our lives and in our prime, and we can't even go do anything because life is too expensive.
You know, and let's don't even talk about just going out to lunch. Me and Samantha went to lunch. We got some sushi. With tip, it was over $50 for 2 people to have 3 rolls of sushi. We're at record high credit card debt now. I think it's like $1.7 trillion or something like that worth of credit card debt in America. And it seems like as everything has gone up, everybody seems to be surviving on credit card. Crazy statistic out there. If you're just looking at buying a house, the normal blue collar, middle of the road job, a school teacher and a cop can barely afford a normal house now. That is absolutely mind-boggling that just the regular American is having trouble just to afford a house. Everything has gone up and I don't see it ever going back down. It's just going to go up slower. But we know that inflation is still cooking. I think we barely met the last numbers for inflation data and it's still mind-boggling. Like they've gotten to where they rationalize high inflation as normal inflation. Not that the price will ever go back down to the way it was pre-pandemic. No, it's just going to go up slower. That's the only thing they can rationalize.
Don't you love when the IRS randomly sends you a $2,700 bill and tells you that you didn't pay enough taxes one year? And then they tell you you can set up a payment plan. So you set up like $40 a month because that's all you can afford right now. And they basically come at you and they're like, just so you know, if you pay $40 a month for the next 6 or 7 years, you're going to pay $6,000 in interest. So even though I originally owed them $2,700, I'm going to pay like fucking $8,000 to the fucking IRS. Like, you can't make this shit up. So now I owe the IRS. My teeth are literally rotting out of my fucking head. I got to go to a dental school. I'm praying that I've called them like 3 times and I fucking can't get through to anybody. My dentist is like, yeah, well, we can fix the broken tooth and like a quarter of your mouth. We can fix that for $330 if you have like $330. And I'm like, I literally don't have that. So I have to wait 2 weeks to get my teeth fixed. So I'm literally like chewing on one side because half of my mouth is fucked. I'm just like so fucking done. Like I can't even afford to take care of my body. I can't afford to take care of my body. The government is taking my money. Like I can't even fucking do this anymore. I'm so fucking done.
Don't get me started with the IRS. I finally got a letter in response from the IRS from 3 years ago. Then they'll throw these crazy penalties on people that they won't even respond to. And now you can't even get them on the phone. Like right now, with the administration change, half of them have just flew the coop or they're just not answering the phone. So who works your case? Nobody. And the fact that they waste our money so terribly. Send it off to wars on the other side of the world that nobody even knows what's going on with it. It's just like we just keep throwing money away. But meanwhile, people are having a hard time paying for their own teeth. You just think about it. You work 5 to 6 months out of the year to pay the IRS. When that sinks into your head, it makes you furious to think that they're in charge of our entire life. I've railed for the last year and a half on this channel about spend our money wisely. Don't take my money and send it off to the Ukraine when we got people in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, California, fire victims, hurricane victims. We got people that don't even have basic health care or dental, but yet we can blow money on missiles and bullets and beans and band-aids in another country. We can re-outfit and fund the operation of government of another country, but we won't re-outfit and pay for the operation of our own country. The corruption is mind-boggling.
Why are people so angry right now? Why are people so upset? People are so miserable right now. I'm going to tell you why. Bro, outside costs $150 minimum. Just stepping out your house costs $150. Let me do the math for you. You got to get gas, right? Now, if you're in California, then I'm not in California. I was just out there a couple weeks ago. They gas like $6, $5, something like that. So if you got to put in a full tank, man, let's just say you got a car, bro, that's like $45, $50 minimum right there, just to get your tank on full. Then when you go out to eat at these places that have green grass on the wall and the food is probably mid at best, yeah, they're also going to charge you a leg and a foot for that as well. That's going to be another probably $30 to $20, somewhere between $25 to $40 if you want a really good solid meal. Then on top of that, rent prices for a decent neighborhood where you're not getting shot at or getting shot around, you're going to pay $1,500 for that. In most metro cities, at least in the South. I can't speak for California. I can't speak for New York. I can't speak for those other places. But at least in the South, you need to be paying probably about $1,500 in rent.
It's wild in America today that we have to have the conversation of where can I live without being shot or shot at or bullets going through my house. That's where we're at with a lot of this stuff. We don't solve our own problems here at home, but we're meddling in a bunch of other people's problems all over the world.
To feel somewhat safe. And don't let me stop. Groceries. Let's start there. Groceries are extremely expensive right now. Extremely. Like, bro, I think I paid like $4 for eggs the other day ago. And I was like, bro, are we in the South? I'm like, bro,
$5 for a cabbage.
The point is, the reason people are mad is because this economy is terrible, bro. That's why people are upset. Regular folks are barely surviving right now. That's the truth. People can get on Twitter and get on here and act like they're rich. They're broke. And they're living check to check just like most of America is right now. So that's why people are upset. They can't buy houses. You almost have to make probably about, if you're by yourself, you probably have to make probably in the South, again, I'm just using the South. If you want a decent home in a decent area, you're probably about to pay. You probably need to make about over 100, like 100.
Yeah, it's over 100 to get a $300,000 house, give or take. And that's what I was saying about the average blue collar person, normal job in America, struggle to buy an average price house. The inflation is out of control. And they have no way of bringing this stuff back down. I mean, deflation, if it happened and the people that did buy the houses over the last 3 years saw a deflation in the price of houses, they would be furious. So you're danged if you don't, danged if you do, okay?
$25,000 probably to live in a decent home in America where you're not living where you're not living.
It would be a major real estate collapse, over 20%, major collapse. The United States would be an awful place.
Check the check. That is why people are mad right now.
People that have regular normal jobs, I just would like to know, how are you surviving in America off of regular pay? My car insurance is over $400 a month. My car payment is over $400 a month. My nails, $200 a month. Of course, that's including the toes and the eyebrows too. Lashes, probably like $200 a month. The list goes on. Then people have the nerve to ask me what got me into dancing. Bitch, my bills. I'm at the point where I will literally do everything and anything I can to not have to pay rent. I'm totally uninterested. Nope.
These are the type of things that I don't have much sympathy for, but I think she's being kind of facetious about this. If you're spending on things that are not necessities, but you don't have the money to spend on things that are not necessities, then you're not being a good steward of your time and your money, and that's on you.
What am I doing wrong? I work every day and I'm still broke. Like, I have a decent job, I make some decent money, but I live out here in Cali. Like, bro, as soon as I get paid, I have all these bills stacked up, bro, that shit wipes me clean. Like, I got no money left over. Making $100,000 a year doesn't get you anywhere nowadays. And then moving to Houston, moving to Texas, any other type of state, guys, like that, I'm not gonna fucking move there. There's gotta be a better way for me to make more fucking money, or the things that cost so much money need to go fucking down.
I went to California recently, and I was shocked coming from Florida to California how much things cost. There is an added tax on everything. There is all these surcharges, and then the listen to people and what they pay out there for things, and they had 3 garbage cans. I could not get over that. You fund 3 garbage trucks running around the entire city, and we call that saving the planet when the biodegradable waste has to be separated from the garbage can to go in a separate truck that you're going to have all these trucks running all over. None of it really made any sense. Then half the state was on fire. Love y'all Californians. I just don't really understand. The weather is awesome, but I don't really understand a lot of things that are going on out there.
I think one of the most concerning parts of society is that, like, once something becomes normalized, we just don't really bat an eyelash at how ridiculous they are. Like, all right, here's an example. This was $17. This amount of food, it was $17. And I paid it, and I just go on with my day. It's absolutely insane what this cost of living has become, and we just, because it's normal now, we're just like, well, that's the way it is, you know. It's the same thing when I'm looking up apartments, and I see a studio apartment that's like $3,200 for something that's not even special, and we're just like, oh wow, it's a pretty good neighborhood though. You know, like that. I don't know, 3,200. That's a steal. It's what's happening? That this is normal. Like, I get my rent renewal, and it's just an extra $300 a month for absolutely no reason, no upgrades, no change to anything, and they're just like, yeah, that's just cost $300 more now a month, and I'm just like, okay, like this is just the way it is. When's it gonna stop?
What do you think about this? Comment down below. I have been in this situation, talking to myself, for 2-3 years now. Like, it's just, people are just like, oh, you know, we just did it. I say it was $70 for lunch. And they're like, oh, whatever. I'm like, how are people surviving? Are they just swiping their card, and then that's why the credit card balances just keep going up, and we're staring at default on all this unsecured debt? Are they just going to run the cards until they stop working, and whenever that may be? Or are we going to see this major credit crisis where all of a sudden people have 500 credit scores because they had to default on their credit cards because it's a runaway train? And are we going to wake up and nobody can get an apartment, or there's going to be this massive wealth gap of people with good credit, people with no credit, and it's going to bleed into other parts of society? It's mind-blowing that people I know and I'm around are still spending money, and I know how much they make, and they just keep swiping and swiping and swiping. It physically hurts me to go and pay $13 for a Taco Bell. I shouldn't have ate anyways. Most of the food is unhealthy, and I'm swiping my card for it. You know, don't get me started on alcohol. I mean, you're going to pay $8-9 some places for a beer, plus tip. Isn't that wild?
Okay, put a finger down. This economy is f***ed edition. Put a finger down if you are over the age of 23 and don't have a savings account. Put a finger down if you have credit card debt. Put a finger down if you are living paycheck to paycheck. Put a finger down if you cry at the amount left in your account after you pay rent. Put a finger down if groceries is something you have to seriously budget. Put a finger down if you were late on rent the past month or two. Put a finger down if you have not been able to do anything fun because of the lack of funds. Basically, everything is just essentials. Put a finger down if you owe somebody money for spotting you in some way or another. That's my brother. Put a finger down if you hate the job that's causing all of this financial problems. And put a finger down if you are trading all of your time for money still while working at somebody else's business. No, we're done with that. This is the year that we step back into our power. We take that shit back. We become our own boss. We make money from our damn phones. We get on a flight to wherever the hell we want to go. And we work from there. We make our income from wherever the hell we want. We get to allocate our time to whatever the hell we want. And we get to help people and show people that they can do the exact same thing. Why not start to learn the skills to make money from your phone? Open those fucking hands, get to work.
Okay, so I think she's probably going to sell you a course, but it should not be funny to say these things and say, I don't have a savings account. I mean, you can open one up in 5 seconds. Say you don't have money. I would live in a cardboard box before I paid to live somewhere and didn't have any money. I would never be house poor. I would never be apartment poor. I would live with a roommate. I would, heck, shower at the gym and sleep in my car before I had no money. I always said if I hit rock bottom, the way I would come back is I would drive my expenses to zero. I would find me a place to sleep as cheap as possible. I would get me a $9.99 monthly payment at the gym or wherever. I could shower there. It would be tuna and water, and I would save everything I had until I got a threshold of $1,000 or whatever. And then I would just keep working my way up. I'd have 2 jobs to where I never even had to go home. I would just sleep on the move. Did it in the Army, okay? Many times when you had staff duty, you spent 24 hours at the office, and you just slept wherever you could for that 2 or 3 hours you got. And then you realize you didn't even need that much sleep anyways. You just kept working. And that's what I would be doing here. I would have 2 or 3 jobs until I had some money, and then I would finally start thinking about getting me an apartment. Or I'm probably living with roommates then, saving as much as I can. Or I had bought a place and I'm subleasing those rooms to those guys, so they're paying for my monthly expenses of housing. I would study finances as much as possible to where I had a high yield savings account. Go look those up. I'm taking the money that I'm making and I'm putting it in my high yield savings account. I'm not doing debt at all. No credit cards, because if you're probably that broke, they shouldn't be giving you a credit card anyways. I'm doing everything financially responsible as possible, and if I don't know what financial responsibility is, I would find somebody that is. I'd ask them a bunch of questions and do that. And that's my theory on this. I feel for, many of the people in these situations. You really got to take it into your own hands to change the situation instead of waiting on a politician to come save it. You got to start thinking about multiple strings of income, starting your own business. You can work a job, come home, and from 6 to 2 a.m. in the morning, you're figuring out your side hustle or your entrepreneurial gig. And you're trying to get that to produce revenue as fast as possible till one day maybe it overtakes your job in general. And you start getting that extra income of money until you get out of this situation. The government gave us a really bad situation by printing a ton of money. The politicians went off their rocker by not being responsible, and here we are with inflation where it's $17 to get lunch. It's $70 to go out to eat with you and your girlfriend and maybe your kid. And then by the time you pay for a waiter, which they're trying to make a living too, it gets really expensive. And the sad part about that is people stop going out to eat, and then the waiter stops getting the tips, and it's this circle of events. What do you think about tipping? In the comments down below, do you think that tipping is become this out of control thing, or should restaurants be paying people an hourly wage so that tip isn't carried over to the consumer and not paid by the employer? Many people would argue that to ensure prompt service, has always been, hey, you worked hard for me, here's a return, not a demanded thing on every transaction the way it is now. When you swipe your card, whether they did something for you or not, boom, there's 20%. I'm like, well, is that a tax? Like, or are you not paying your employees? For me, I'm looking at it like, hey, if I went to Iceland or I went to some of these other European countries, they're paying their employees $17, $18, $20, $25 an hour. They're happy working there and they're not struggling to get that extra, you know, $5, $10 from the consumer that came in and just wanted a sandwich or just wanted a drink. It's become part of American culture that you must tip. So what do you think about that? Do you think we must tip? Do you think it's gotten out of control? Or do you think that it's somewhere in between? I'm still trying to figure it out. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. I've got so many thoughts on a lot of this stuff. We really got to fix the economy. You got to save for a rainy day. And hopefully, you can break out of that circle. Don't fall into the golden handcuffs of having to stay in a job because you're barely making it. You hate the job. You can barely afford things, but yet you can't quit the job because then you'll lose everything. It's a crazy circle of events, and the only way out is learning financial responsibility and entrepreneurship. See you guys later.